Good morning. Welcome to Plugged In. We're going to have a story out of the Old Testament book of Judges right after this. And good morning. Welcome back. If you want to follow along this morning, we will be in Judges, the Old Testament book of Judges, chapter 7. It has occurred to me at other times, but I was reminded of it just recently, that a lot of the stories of the individuals in Hebrews chapter 11 are stories of endurance, perseverance, determination, patience. I was sharing with a group at our church not too long ago that one of the signs of obedience is being patient. You think of the story especially of either Noah, where he's going to build an ark, but think of the endurance it took and the patience it took to build that, or especially Abraham and Sarah, who were told that they were going to be parents, but it didn't happen in the time frame that they thought it would be, and so God was teaching them patience all along. But I think interwoven between all of those things are other traits. For example, They show us what happens when we're about ready to give up. I mean, there are some stories where there is those tendencies of, I'm going to quit. This isn't going the way I want it to go. A sense of low morale. I mean, you just feel like, I've taken 2 steps forward, but I've been pushed 3 to 4 steps back, and I'm not getting anywhere. And the story in Judges chapter 7, I sense that happening for Gideon at first. If you're a student of the Word, if you know the story of Gideon, you know how it turns out, and we'll get to that. But I want you to follow along with me. I'm going to just read a section of it, and I want to take the words that are on a page and help bring them to life for whatever Gideon was dealing with, as well as what we deal with as well. So we're just going to pick up chapter 7, verse 1 and continue. Early in the morning, Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, and all of his men camped at the spring of Harod. Now, Gideon has been called to lead an army of Israelites against the Midianites. Okay? So Israel had been kind of not doing what they were supposed to do. God had allowed for the Midianites to overtake them, but now he's chosen Gideon to help the Israelites destroy the Midianites. So the camp of Midian was north of them in the valley near the hill of Moreh. And the Lord said to Gideon, "You have too many men. I cannot deliver Midian into your hands, or Israel will boast against me, my own strength has saved me." He said, "Announce to the army, anyone who trembles with fear may turn back and leave Mount Gilead." Now let's stop for just a second. I know it's easy for us to keep reading real quick, but let's just stop for a moment. Here's this army military leader, this man who's been called to lead this group of men into battle, and he has, as we will do the math in just a few moments and we'll see it played out, he has 32,000 men. I mean, against what he's up against, he still doesn't have very many, but he's got 32,000 men. And God is saying, you've got too many. If they win, they're going to kind of act like they're the ones that brought about the victory. So we need to kind of weed them out. I tell you what, Gideon, you give them a kind of a pep speech, but in the middle of that speech, you just say, hey, if any of you are scared, if any of you are afraid, if any of you are a little bit skeptical about this, I want you to leave. Now, Gideon, as a leader, is probably thinking, who's going to do this? We're tired of the Midianites beating us up. We want to take care of them. I'm not going to have anybody walk away. These men are valiant. They're ready to fight to the end. Oh, yeah? Here's the rest of it. So 22,000 men left, and 10,000 remained. You don't know who it was who took the first step, but like a bunch of ants just scurrying away from an anthill, it wasn't long till 22,000 men are gone. I mean, the facial expression of Gideon watching this is probably like beyond words. Like, he's looking at his aides and he's thinking, what is going on here? I didn't think these guys would give up. But the story continues. He's down to 10,000. Okay, well, that's not what I started with, but I can deal with it. But here's what happens. The Lord said to Gideon, there's still too many men. Take them down to the water, and I will thin them out for you there. If I say, this one shall go with you, he shall go. And if I say, this one shall not go with you, he shall not go. Gideon's thinking, I got 10,000. You already took 22,000 of them. Okay, Gideon took the men down to the water. And here's how the Lord played this out. He said, separate those who lap the water with their tongues as a dog laps from those who kneel down to drink. 300 of them drank from cupped hands. They leaned down, they put the water in their hands, and they drank like this, lapping it like the dogs. All of the rest of those men got on their knees to drink. Quick math. He goes down to the river with 10,000. He's left with 300 men. The Lord said to Gideon, verse 7, with the 300 men that lapped, I will save you and give the Midianites into your hands. Let all the others go home. Man, I tell you what, I can imagine as a leader, the morale of Gideon was, even though he knows that God's in control, there is this sense of, what is happening? Why is this happening? How are we going to do this? We're down to 300. You can't even begin to count the number of men that we're up against, and their camels and their weapons, and how are we going to do this? And he's beside himself. But Gideon sneaks into a camp that night. Skipping down to verse 12, Gideon arrived just as a man was telling a friend of his a dream. I had a dream, he said. A round loaf of barley bread came tumbling into the Midianite camp. It struck the tent with such force that the tent overturned and collapsed. Gideon leans in. He's hiding, but he's leaning in. He wants to hear about this. And the friend said, this can be nothing more than the sword of Gideon, the son of Joash, the Israelite. God has given the Midianites and the whole camp into his hands. And when Gideon heard the dream and its interpretation, he bowed down and worshiped. Don't miss that. He didn't worship himself. He didn't worship some other god. He knew then where the victory was coming from, just like David did against Goliath. He returned to the camp and he called out, get up. The Lord has given the Midianite camp into your hands. Let me ask you, you ever feel like kind of quitting, giving up? It seems like all odds are against you. Things aren't going in the way that you would want them to. I want to just take this short story and just say to you today, don't quit. Be faithful to God in all things and through all things. The initial call to build an ark might have been fascinating, but it was the perseverance that paid off for Noah. Being told at the age of 75 that you're going to be a father, but having to find out that it's not going to happen until you're 100, man, but it pays off for Abraham. Leading an army that started with 32,000 men and dwindled down to 300. God was trying to teach humility. Gideon, I want you to understand this victory is not yours. This victory is mine. I'm just using what I need and who I need. I want you to persevere. I don't want you to give up on me. And that's the encouragement I want to give you on this Monday. We live in a world where we're being kicked around, pushed around. And we wonder, is God even paying attention to what's going on? Yes, He is. And God will eventually take care of everything that is going on. And He will make all things new. He's just calling for those of us who are His followers to be faithful to the very end. He will bring the victory. Thank you again for watching. I hope that you have a wonderful week. And we will see you next Monday on Plugged In.